The Grand Chamber of Zorith Prime had seen countless species arrive to beg entry into the Galactic Council. Every time, the ritual was the same: bows, tributes, and long speeches of gratitude. None had ever dared to stand tall in the center of that vast amphitheater and claim equality. Today, humanity did. The chamber itself was a spectacle, a colosseum of living crystal carved into the hollow heart of the station, its walls alive with shifting light that reflected the voices of 600 alien delegations. In the highest seat, beneath a vaulted dome that showed the dying star beyond, Chancellor Varys Drow presided. His crystalline exoskeleton glimmered with authority, multifaceted eyes narrowing as Admiral Cassandra Holt walked to the circle's center. Her boots struck the polished floor in steady rhythm. She neither bowed nor hesitated. Her uniform was stark, deep navy, silver trim, the emblem of Earth stitched over her heart, a single star wreathed in laurel. "Earth does not kneel," she said, her voice carrying unnaturally well in the chamber's acoustics. "We come as equals." The words fell like a challenge. For a heartbeat, silence held. Then the chamber erupted in laughter, layered in hisses, clicks, and tones from dozens of throats. Some jeered, others muttered about insolence. Drawl's mandibles clacked once, silencing the crowd. His voice cut through the chamber, cold and absolute. "Admiral Holt of Earth, you mistake the purpose of this gathering. New species arrive not as peers but as petitioners. They submit to council order, dismantle their primitive fleets, and accept the protection of those who shaped this galaxy long before you lit your first city fires." He leaned forward, his crystalline armor glittering. "You will do the same." Holt did not flinch. She folded her hands behind her back, gaze steady. "No, Chancellor. Humanity does not come to beg protection. We survived our own centuries of blood and fire. We arrive united not to kneel, but to stand." The chamber erupted again, not with laughter this time but with outrage. A dozen ambassadors shouted at once, insults, warnings, threats. The cacophony rose until the crystal walls themselves thrummed with agitation. Droll let it swell before cutting it short with a single thunderous strike of his claw on the dais. "Enough." His eyes locked on Holt. "You speak bravely, human, but you are children playing with stolen fire. The Council has witnessed this before. Species reach too far, mistake defiance for strength, and then burn. Children?" Holt's tone sharpened. "We know the history you speak of. But unlike those before us, we did not stumble blind into the stars. We studied. We endured. And we prepared." The Chancellor tilted his head, amused. "Prepared?" Holt's lips curved in a measured half-smile. "You'll see." At that moment, a signal flickered across her wrist console. Subtle, almost imperceptible, but the effect was anything but. Far above, beyond the crystal dome, space convulsed. The first human warship tore into real space with a thunderclap of distorted light. Then another. Then 100. In perfect formation, the Earth fleet arrived, bristling with weapons the Council had never catalogued, hulls gleaming with hardened alloys unknown to their registries. Gasps rippled through the chamber. The viewport stretched wide, showing the station's orbit filling with angular silhouettes. Carriers, dreadnoughts, drone barges, all disciplined, arranged, and ready. One alien delegate, a feathered elder of the Cerati, whispered aloud before realizing his voice carried. "They built this, without us." Holt raised her chin slightly, voice calm but unyielding. "This is humanity's answer. We will not be vassals. We will not be dismantled. We come not in conquest, but in warning. Earth will not bow." For a moment, even Droll said nothing. His multifaceted eyes refracted the growing fleet above, his mandibles twitching with controlled fury. Then he leaned forward, voice low but seething. "You think this display makes you our equal? A council fleet could scatter your armada before a single broadside landed." "Perhaps," Holt replied evenly. "But you'll find Earth does not fight wars to impress. We fight them to win. Test us if you doubt." Murmurs swelled again, this time not all hostile. Some delegations whispered in tones of uncertainty. Others eyed the human admiral with a hint of something dangerous, admiration. Drawl slammed his claw down once more. Your insolence is noted. But know this, the Council does not suffer defiance. Submit, or suffer annihilation. Holt's reply was immediate. If annihilation is your answer to every challenge, Chancellor, then perhaps it is not humanity that has failed to learn from history. The silence that followed was heavier than any laughter. For the first time in living memory, the council chambers trembled, not with ritual, not with ceremony, but with the arrival of something entirely new. And as the human fleet cast its shadow across Zorith Prime, Cassandra Holt stood unmoved at the center of 600 civilizations. She had not come to plead. She had come to remind them of something they had forgotten. That some species do not kneel. The chamber had not truly settled since the fleet's arrival. Alien voices, sharp and nervous, echoed across the crystal walls. Delegates that once laughed now whispered in low tones, glancing between Admiral Holt and the ships blotting out the star. She stood motionless in the center, hands behind her back, posture relaxed as though she had orchestrated a meeting rather than a spectacle of power. This is impossible, hissed a counselor from the Kareth Dominion, a creature of glassy skin and fluttering gills. A single frontier species cannot construct such an armada in secrecy. Impossible, echoed another. Unless they were preparing for us. Holt's gaze moved across the chamber, not smug, not taunting, measured, weighing every reaction. You assumed we would arrive begging for your wisdom, she said evenly. But Earth does not beg. We endured centuries of war, famine, and ruin. We united not because it was easy, but because survival demanded it. And when we reached the stars, we built, not monuments to vanity, but ships to endure what waited beyond. The Serek elder, still transfixed by the sight of the fleet, turned his scaled face toward the Chancellor. Perhaps caution is wise, Varys. They are not like others who came before. Drawl rose to his full height, towering above the chamber, his crystalline carapace flaring like armor. Caution? His mandibles clicked in scorn. They are primitives who mistake desperation for strength. Do not be deceived by crude metal and bluster. His eyes fixed on Holt. Your fleet exists at our mercy. A single council armada could reduce it to slag within the hour. Holt met his gaze without flinching. Perhaps. But your mercy would come at a cost. Do you think humanity would scatter? No. We would burn with such fury that your fleets would remember Earth every time they looked into a star. Test us, Chancellor, and you'll discover how costly victory can be. The words landed like a weapon. The murmurs that followed were different now, not derision, but unease. Drawl slammed his claw down. Enough posturing. You will obey the council charter or face destruction. There is no third path. Before Holt could reply, the chamber doors parted. A messenger drone floated in, projecting an urgent image of ships mobilizing near the outer system. A demonstration force, sent by Drawl's order, bristling with weapons. Holt did not look surprised. She simply turned slightly, her wrist console flickering. Earth fleet, stand by. The asteroid belt of Zortha's outer orbit became the stage. Council warships, sleek, ornamented, more ceremonial than practical, swept into formation. Across from them, the Earth fleet shifted like a single organism, dreadnoughts sliding into precise lines, carriers launching clouds of drones, railgun arrays pivoting silently. On the council bridge, commanders expected panic. Instead, human ships maneuvered with chilling precision. Not aggressive, not reckless, just prepared. Their lines closed gaps faster than council algorithms predicted. Their drone swarms moved like schools of fish anticipating strikes before they came. No shot was fired. Yet in 10 minutes of silent maneuvers, it became obvious who held discipline. By the stars, muttered a reptilian tactician aboard the council flagship. They fight wars in their bones. Back in the chamber, Drawl's carapace trembled faintly as new feeds displayed the standoff. Alien eyes widened. Some whispered openly now. They could match us. Holt's voice carried through the silence. We do not come here to fight. But understand this, humanity does not bluff. If you demand war, we will fight it. If you demand subjugation, we will resist it. And if you demand we kneel. She leaned forward slightly, gaze locking with Draal's many eyes. Then you will learn what happens when Earth refuses. For a long moment, Draal said nothing. The chamber broke into argument. Some ambassadors shouted for immediate annihilation. Others urged restraint. A handful, species long held under council dominance, looked at Holt with quiet, dangerous admiration. Holt stood silently through the storm. She didn't need to raise her voice. The fleet above spoke louder than words. Finally, Draal leaned forward, mandibles twitching. His voice dripped venom. You are bold, human. But boldness fades when faced with fire. Do not mistake patience for weakness. You walk on the edge of extinction. Holt's answer came calm, but each syllable carried iron. Extinction is a threat humanity has lived with since it first struck stone against flint. We are not afraid of it. Can you say the same, Chancellor? A sharp intake of breath swept the chamber. For the first time in living memory, the High Chancellor was made to hesitate. After the session adjourned, Holt's aide, Commander Malik, joined her in the waiting hall. His dark eyes flicked toward the sealed doors. You realize you just invited half the galaxy to hate us, Admiral. They already did, she replied quietly. Today, they learned to fear us too. Another figure approached, cloaked in green scales, eyes darting nervously. It was the Sereti Elder. His voice dropped to a whisper. You speak truth the Council pretends not to hear. There are others who think as I do. Be careful, Admiral. Your defiance may spark more than fear, it may spark hope. Holt studied him, then nodded once. Hope can be as dangerous as fear. But both are better than silence. The Sereti inclined his head and slipped away. That night, Holt stood in the observation deck of her flagship, watching Zortha's pale star flicker. The fleet hung in disciplined formation beyond the viewport, shadows etched against the void. Commander Malik stepped beside her. They're rattled, Admiral. Even Draal. But they'll come harder tomorrow. I know, Holt said. And when they do, we'll be ready. She rested her hands behind her back, gaze unwavering on the stars. We didn't come here to conquer. We came to stand. If the galaxy can't understand that, her jaw set firm as steel, then we'll teach them. The next morning, the council reconvened. The chamber buzzed with tension, fractures visible now where unity once reigned. Some species demanded humanity's annihilation, others cautioned against rash action, and a few whispered openly of rebellion against the Chancellor's iron rule. At the center, Admiral Holt stood alone, calm as ever. Draal's voice thundered across the crystal dome. You mistake defiance for strength, human. It will not last. Holt raised her chin, eyes locked on him. Strength is forged in defiance, Chancellor. Humanity has been forging it for millennia. Test us if you doubt. Silence fell. A silence heavy not with mockery this time, but with something the Council had not felt in centuries. Uncertainty. The Council chamber felt colder when the delegations reconvened. Light from the dying star outside spilled through the crystal dome, painting fractured shadows across alien faces. No one laughed now. Admiral Cassandra Holt stood alone at the center circle, posture unshaken, eyes fixed on the Chancellor. Her fleet still orbited above, black silhouettes that haunted every conversation in the station. Chancellor Varys Draal rose to his full height, crystalline armor catching the light in blinding shards. His mandibles clicked slowly, deliberately. Humanity has been given every chance to submit. You answer with arrogance, with insolence. You think your crude armada shields you from consequence. You are mistaken. The chamber erupted in voices, some demanding war, others pleading restraint. Holt waited, letting the storm pass. When silence returned, she spoke with the same calm iron that had carried her through every battle. We did not come to threaten, she said. But we will not surrender. If you choose war, Chancellor, we will fight it. And when the war is done, the galaxy will remember Earth, not as servants, but as equals. The Sereti Elder rose from his seat. His scales caught the dim light, voice rough but steady. Chancellor, perhaps we should reconsider. To strike now is to fracture the Council. Already, whispers of rebellion spread. Humanity's courage is contagious. Draal's mandibles snapped in fury. Enough! If weakness spreads, it will be crushed. Humanity will not infect the order we built. He extended a claw toward the chamber's ceiling. Mobilize the fleets. In orbit, warnings rippled through the Council armada. Hundreds of ships began shifting into attack formations, weapons systems primed. Across from them, the Earth fleet answered without hesitation. Carriers launched new drone waves, railgun turrets aligned, dreadnoughts spread into defensive screens. On Holt's flagship, the bridge was silent except for the crisp voices of officers reporting readiness. Commander Mallet glanced at her, waiting. She gave a single nod. Hold position. We don't fire first. Aye, Admiral. The tension hung like a drawn bowstring. Two armadas faced each other across the void, the station caught between them. One mistake, one spark, and the largest war in Council history would ignite. Inside the chamber, Holt's voice cut through the rising clamor. You think this is about dominance, Chancellor? It isn't. Humanity does not seek conquest. What we seek is survival, and survival has taught us resilience you cannot imagine. Her words echoed against the crystal walls. You threaten annihilation as if it frightens us. Humanity has stared down extinction for thousands of years, famine, plague, wars that nearly consumed our world. We survived because we learned to endure what others thought impossible. That is what stands before you now, not arrogance, but the will to live free. Some delegations shifted uneasily. A few nodded, subtle but telling. Draal hissed, his voice sharp. Freedom is a lie. Order is survival. Without the Council, chaos consumes. Holt's reply was quiet but cutting. Order built on fear isn't survival, it's slavery. If that is your counsel, then perhaps it deserves to fall. A shocked murmur swept through the chamber. Never in its history had anyone spoken so openly against its foundation. Above the planet, Council ships closed distance. Targeting locks pinged across human hulls. Holt's bridge lit with alerts. Admiral, Malek said, low but urgent. If they fire. They won't, Holt interrupted. Her eyes stayed on the viewport, unblinking. They can't afford to. How can you be sure? She lifted her wrist console, transmitting a new signal. Moments later, several massive structures unfolded from the Earth fleet's rear lines. Orbital platforms, each projecting arcs of blue energy that spread like vast domes of light. Project Aegis, Holt said. Planetary shield grids. Designed to withstand full-scale bombardment. Humanity didn't build to conquer. We built to endure. The sight rippled through both fleets. Council commanders faltered. No species outside the core civilizations had ever constructed such technology, yet here was Earth deploying it with practiced ease. Malek allowed himself the faintest smile. You just rewrote their entire war doctrine. In the chamber, Draal's crystalline body trembled with rage. Tricks! Symbols! Nothing more. They cannot save you. Holt stepped forward, voice steady. They don't need to save us. They need only make war costly enough that you question whether it's worth fighting. And you already do, Chancellor. I see it in this chamber. I hear it in the silence of your allies. The Sereti elder rose again, louder this time. She is right. We have lived under threat for centuries, bowing to power we dared not challenge. Yet here stand humans, unyielding, with nothing but the strength they forged themselves. Perhaps it is time we remembered we too can stand. Other voices joined him, hesitant but growing. Enough of subjugation. The Council is not eternal. If they resist, why not us? The chamber was unraveling. Draal's fury boiled over. Silence! You will not tear apart what we have built! He turned his burning gaze back to Holt. This rebellion is your doing, human. You will be crushed for it. Holt held his gaze. You can crush ships. You can burn worlds. But you cannot crush the idea that freedom is possible. And once it takes root, Chancellor, it spreads. Today it starts with Earth. Tomorrow, who knows? The silence that followed was absolute. In orbit, the standoff froze. Council fleets wavered, hesitation bleeding through formations. No order to fire came. No commander wished to be the first to test humanity's promise of ruin. Finally, transmissions rippled across Council channels, some ships standing down, others refusing combat orders outright. What had begun as intimidation collapsed into uncertainty. On the Earth flagship, Malik exhaled slowly. They blinked. Holt allowed herself a single nod. They remembered fear. The Council vote came hours later. Reluctant, bitter, but inevitable. By narrow margin, Earth was granted full sovereignty and recognized as an equal power. Drall abstained, his rage seething in silence, but even he could not defy the tide without risking the Council's collapse. When the result was announced, Holt did not smile. She simply inclined her head, acknowledging the decision with the same calm she had carried from the beginning. Humanity accepts equal standing, she said. Not as conquerors. Not as servants. As free people among the stars. Back aboard her flagship, Earth's transmissions flooded with cheers. Crowds gathered in cities, watching feeds of their fleet holding formation above the Council's core. Children waved flags, elders wept. Holt stood at the viewport, watching the galaxy's most powerful assembly reduced to silence by a people once dismissed as primitives. Malik joined her quietly. We did it. No, Holt corrected softly. We proved it. The work begins now. Respect is never given, it must be kept. She turned from the viewport, her voice low, resolute. The galaxy expected us to kneel. Instead, they saw what humanity truly is. And as the fleet prepared to depart, the words of that moment etched themselves across history. The galaxy had expected Earth to bow. Instead, it witnessed the rise of a people who never would.